And we're back. I'm Joe. I'm Kohoy. Together we are Tito with ukuleleles.
Okay.
Bass
Higher
edition.
pitch, higher pitch, higher pitch.
Okay, Joe, because we have to kind of fine tune our sound because we're reviewing finally a bass ukulele. What do you have here, Joe?
So this is a KALA U-Bass.
Yes, the KALA U-Bass.
This is from what, 2016?
Okay, this is a 2016 model because we're flashing back in time. Now, I got this again, secondhand, from a refurbished shop. So the reason why we're reviewing such a off-season model is because often than not, the off-season are the better models. So it's a good thing that we have this one because even if this is not readily available right now, it is good to flash back on when the instruments were actually either made better in some sense.
Yeah.
So you have the U-Bass. So it's called the U-Bass SM HGFL. Huh?
Yeah.
What does this FL mean? So U-Bass is of course because it's ukulele bass.
No,
Oh really?
didn't you say it was because it was Mike
Yeah.
Upton?
Okay, so again, when you have a KALA U bass, it's not because the U in the bass. It's not because it's a ukulele bass. It's also not because it's supposed to mimic the upright bass. It's funny is that they named it after the guy who created KALA.
Founded KALA.
Yeah, Mr. Upton. So it was the Upton bass. SMHG for solid mahogany back and sides and possibly neck. And what's the FL?
Fretless.
Oh, so that's why I see no fret sprouting. Okay, it's very smooth. It's a fretless bass that still had the lines.
Yeah. So in case you're wondering how can it be fretless with that, okay, there are really no physical metal frets here.
There's no metal frets because it is made of maple. Yes, the wood fretboard is also wood fret. So
And the wood fret is flush with the fretboard.
very flush, flat, smooth, but it has the standard fretboard markings.
Yeah, okay.
It started on the third fret. However, you did notice something funny, right?
So you have your standard fretboard markings here,
So
right?
you can play it like a guitar, right? Or a bass,
Yeah,
really?
but the side frets, they're aligned with the fret marks itself.
Yes, the side frets. If you notice, we will just describe because it's so small. It's as small as the fretless bass because the dots are on the fret line.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of strange. It's actually throwing me off when I'm playing this. But it's good to know that when you are playing a fretless bass, the actual, equivalent to the fretted bass, the actual tone that you make when you're going to make a G or an A is actually on the fret. So when you're playing with a fretted bass, when you press it anywhere between the frets, the sound is actually made by the fret that comes after your fingers. So when you're on a fretless bass, to hit the actual, the actual tone, you have to hit it on the line, right? Dead on the line to be right in tune, which is actually an offset for players who are used to fretted instruments. So this is a little bit of a learning curve. The solution, of course, is that when you're tuning the instrument, you can actually tune it a little up, a little notch up on your tuner line so that even if you hit it on the middle, but a fretless bass is supposed to be played like a smooth, jazzy bass. So definitely not for metal players, but definitely that is something that they have to take notice of.
Okay. Now, admittedly, most basses like these, they're not the loudest ones.
You're not supposed to play it without any kind of amplification.
Yeah. So
Because these plastic strings, this kind of thunder bass, that's what you call it. These thunder bass strings are made of practically plastic, synthetic, does not make any sound at all unless you have a piezo pickup.
So this, almost. So
It comes with a Shadow piezo pickup. Shadow is a German piezo pickup maker, which has been known from the early 90s then up. So nowadays, people probably, some companies will probably use something like Fishman, but back in the day, Shadow was it.
Now, if I remember correctly, some of the recent KALA U-basses, you do have the option of changing your strings from something like this to round or flat metal
Yeah,
strings,
yeah.
right?
Those are the new versions.
Yeah. So those U-basses would have a truss rod.
Yes. Well, keep in mind that the U-bass started in the late 2000s, like 2007 or something. This is the 2016 model. There's really no practical name to it. It's just the U-bass.
Oh, it does have a truss rod. I just saw it there.
Yeah, yeah. It does have a truss rod because most instruments are this length. This is a 30, it's practically a baritone size. 30, but 20 short scale bass.
No, a while ago we were talking and I was looking for the typical truss rod cover here.
Oh, yeah. But this is an acoustic. So normally in acoustic, you have the truss rod.
It's way right over
Yes.
there.
So there is a truss rod. However, why it doesn't kind of make sense because usually you have, of course, when it bends through age, it makes sense. But if you think about it, a fretless bass, there's no no frets to level, right? So even if you have a curved instrument, doesn't matter much. Also because it's kind of soft, fat strings. So the truss rod is there for fine, picky people. Yeah, that's in our opinion. Again, don't judge us. Truss rod for this fretless bass. Just imagine if you have to adjust the truss rod with a full upright bass that probably has a 60-inch scale or something.
Okay, now this was bought second-hand. It's old.
It's an older model, and the reason why we are emphasizing on that is because the current models of the KALA U-bass, U-bass, wherever you want to call it, starts off with what they call the rumble nowadays. The rumble is their entry level. It's some sort of a mix of mahogany or whatever cheaper wood. Then you have the Scout, I think, that because they have a cutaway that's more for players who want to reach as far. But this is more or less in the tradition of the first generation. It still has a nice brown tone to it. It does have tusk and composite, as they call it, for the bridge and the saddle, so synthetic. But the premium part of this is that it does come with binding that is still traditionally like the turtle shell. Yeah, it's kind of nice because it's brown on brown.
Yeah, you should
the newer ones are kind of
binding, folks. Okay, bring it closer.
the newer ones have black binding or or double or three ply like this one on the Rosette.
Yeah.
So that's why I one of the reasons why I got this, because when it came up on the used market, it's not easy to find such a used version.
Yeah. Now, because it was purchased second-hand and because it is old, the strings are extra floppy.
Yes, I assume that to show you how much floppy it is, let's move up to the sound sample. Okay, so not to preempt any discussion, let's move up to the sound sample. Let's flop this thing around.
Okay, we're back.
Yes, we're bass. So, okay, you do notice that we had a hard time playing with this because, first of all, it is fretless.
Yeah.
Every time you try to hit it like a regular ukulele on the middle of the frets, it is gonna sound a little off. So we were so conscious in trying to hit the lines, the maple lines, that we were flopping around. Then there's definitely this thing. So let's see how loose it is. I don't know. I have to replace these strings, but again, original Aquila strings are kind of expensive. It costs like more than 10% of the instrument, sort of speak. So yes, because when this came out, it was probably around $400 to $500.
Yeah.
Those are the old prices. The newer ones will be roughly after $300 for the
Yeah.
newer versions, but they have cheaper material.
I asked my older brother. He also plays bass. In fact, he learned how to play bass using an upright bass. And I asked him, if I were gonna learn bass, would it be hard if I started to learn playing on a fretless bass? And he go, yeah, it would be hard. And I just experienced it today. So personally, for me, if you're a beginner and you want to learn how to play bass, fretted bass,
Yes.
you'd have an easier time.
Yeah, the fretless is for snobby people. So one thing we noticed is that, again, the fine quality that was put in the first few generations of U-Bass. But let's say that the newer generations have increased the range. You have the cheap range, which is like $300, and you have also the upper range. So before, there were only like a few ranges. So this would have fallen into the first category.
Yeah.
What is different is that back then, they still had a partnership with Hipshot. Hipshot is an American company. So not only do you have a German company, Shadow, pickup over here, you also have the American Hipshot branded fine tuners. But it is slipping when you're tuning.
Is that with age or?
No, it's really just because the U-Bass, if you notice how much it's tied over here, definitely your gears will slip because the U-Bass is kind of like a snake. Like a snake. My shirt. It's like a snake coiled up. So sometimes those happen, even if they're Hipshot tuners. In the newer U-Bass, you would find no Hipshot branding, but they copied the design. So they just call it open tuners. So this one is still Hipshot. Yeah, it is made in China though. You might also notice that this particular unit has a headstock that are in two pieces. Then it is capped with, see, there's a cap over here, probably a walnut cap. And they had the frog.
Yeah.
I don't know why frog.
There's a frog on the headstock.
There's always a mystery why Mr. Upton decided to put a frog in the headstock.
Yeah. Now for the back. Okay. So.
Yes, the back.
There's a cover here. Says
In
U-Bass.
the new versions, you might not have this kind of technology anymore. This one, so that you can access the electronics, because for some reason,
It's supposed also to. No, is it to change the battery? No.
no, the battery is somewhere here. The battery is over here using CR32. I think you need two for this one.
Yeah.
You have this. The first generations did have this magnetic plate. This one is used. It has repaired its magnetic plate so that
Yeah.
it doesn't fall off. You can see on the inside the guts. So again, this is almost new U-Bass. This might not be present anymore, probably because you might end up keep losing this thing. You can always access it anyway from this if you are a good luthier anyway, because it does have a very big body. You see, because of its big body, it has to have its own case, right?
Yep.
So I can't speak for the newer ones, but this came in the usual KALA.
I think the transit case.
Yes, that I think now they have to sell. On the,
Yeah.
Okay, so it did come with this one according to the early generation. So this is just basically a nylon cover to styrofoam. Of course, this is not a hard case. It's called a semi-hard case because on the inside you do have
Show it off.
basically it's felt covered styrofoam.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I actually have the
On your
the same
Kala.
hard case for my Kala arch top. It's for my tenor arch top from Kala. So it's smaller than this, but the difference is I had to buy it separately.
Yes, but this one actually is, this one is a little bit better quality than the similar models that you probably have copied, but you can find in Temu and other online. This still has a little bit of quality. You can tell that the zippers will last because the other ones that you buy cheaper have these the black thick, zippers that break after 5 years. Okay, so that's one nice thing about this. Okay, now again, this was bought secondhand, but when it was brand new, the guy probably got it from Sweetwater. How did I know, Joe?
Oh, the candy.
Yeah, I was surprised to find that they had the usual packaging. Whenever you buy something from Sweetwater, they'll give you sweets. So, would you like to eat 10-year-old sweets? So I'm assuming this is 10 years old because definitely the guy I bought it from was not Sweetwater. So who would like to have a 10-year-old Laffy Taffy?
So okay, it's secondhand, but kudos to the previous owner. It's in great condition.
It is in great condition. You might even say, well, it was described practically like a unused one. When it came to strings, after 10 years, aside from the usual floppiness that you might feel, they usually come with this sort of white sith or something, or white powdery substance, which usually you would find. You can just clean it off.
Okay.
Don't use oil to clean it because it's gonna ruin this poly.
Okay, I got a question. Normally on my ukes, the nut and the saddle are parallel to each other. This one, okay, so the saddle here, it's angled this way.
Oh yeah. Yes. So that's a good thing to notice because on ukuleles, it's not normal on ukuleles, but because this is a longer scale, you will have more issues with intonations, especially it's a fretless bass. Intonation is based on your frets and the length. So when you have a fretless bass, it's best to actually have a little bit of this. And when you do have intonations adjustments on acoustic and also on electric, the standard practice is usually the bass side is closer to the butt. So when you angle, like normally you won't have a intonation adjustments that's like slanted this way. No, usually you have a slant this way because the bass string would need the further distance to compensate. Okay, so that means when you are actually adjusting also on your instrument, sometimes you might find most ukuleles have the straight, right? But you've seen the other ones we've had, something like the Martin. It has already adjustments.
Yeah.
Some will have to bring it to a luthier for those fine tuning adjustments. That's also why the Martin we had before sounded so nice because it was already intonated well from factory. So this one, that's a good thing to notice because some people might be wondering why. And underneath that, of course, is your pickup line. Now, I did not open it, whether it's the thread line type or the metal bar type. I'm not gonna touch it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, a shadow is hard to replace.
You'll probably take a peek when you get around to changing the strings.
I hope. Again, the strings, when you buy a bass, be prepared to spend for your strings. Imagine that the strings of this Thunder strings, I think is what they call the Aquila one, cost as much as actual real metal longer strings for your electric guitar. I think it's something around the $30 range or something.
But you can't can you get strings from a bass guitar and just cut it in half and install it here or no?
Not on this one because first of all, this is not built for metal, so there might not be enough bracing over here like what you have in the newer versions that are upgradable. Also, your nut slots, they're usually also not upgradable. But you don't want to try. You don't want to try because you can have a luthier brace this better. You can have a luthier change your nut for the thread line, but because this is fretless, you'd like to keep it a little bit because if you had, metal wound strings scratching on that fret, you're not gonna like that. Okay, it does have its own tuner, but I won't rely on that too much. We tried it a little while ago. When you have U-bass with this kind of synthetic strings, it's really hard to get a feel for it. You really have to kind of, you don't want to slap around with it. It's like slapping rubber band. It's not only because the strings are old, but I feel that when you play with a U-bass, you really have to really smoothen your playing style. Can't definitely strum with this. It's gonna flap. It's gonna flap around.
Okay, now folks, once again, whatever we feature here, we paid for it. It's part of our respective personal collections.
That's why we buy it secondhand.
So we need your likes, we need your subs to keep us going.
Okay, even if we don't really profit from our YouTube.
Yep.
No, but we love this because we'd like to share our opinions to you so that, when you get into ukulele, you will have more information. It's going to be more fun to really hear about these trivials, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Who knows who Mr. Upton was, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
so
We'll see you in a future episode.